With more than 2 million downloads, this is your number one source for true crime coverage in America. This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
From the Hit Killers Podcast, Murder in the Morning.
Bryan Kohberger. Idaho prosecutors have rejected Kohberger's motion to move the trial out of Latah County now. They formally objected to the defense's request to move the trial of Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of murdering the University of Idaho students in 2022. Out of Latah County, the defense argued that extensive pretrial publicity in Latah County, where these slayings occurred, would prevent Kohberger from receiving a fair trial. However, prosecutors contended that moving the trial would be both unnecessary and inconvenient, given the widespread media coverage throughout the state. In a filing made public on Tuesday evening, Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson and Special Assistant Attorney General Ingrid Batey opposed the motion, which sought to relocate the trial to Idaho County, over 300 miles away from where the murders took place. Saying, quote, the defendant has filed a motion to change venue, requesting that the trial in this matter be moved from Latah, where the offenses took place, to Idaho County, some 300 miles away. The prosecutor wrote, they argued that Kohberger's team had failed to provide sufficient evidence to justify the move. The defense team representing Kohberger, who is charged with the murders of Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, cited inflammatory and ongoing publicity in Latah County as the primary reason for the requested change of venue. According to the July filing from the defense, a fair and impartial jury cannot be found in Latah County because of the extensive publicity and that is ongoing and inflammatory. The inflammatory nature of the publicity has included inaccurate information and inadmissible information. People are going to talk about this no matter what. That's what is even the argument here? That people are they're gonna get wrong information. People get wrong information about things all the time. That's just people. It's about what actually goes into the courtroom that really matters.
I feel like the people who are closest to where it happened probably have the most accurate information because it was on the news every night in their community. Yeah. Whereas people who are further away, they could tune out. It wasn't right in their own backyard.
Yeah.
There were other things that they could do. So I feel like the people closest to it might have the most information.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. The defense conducted a survey of potential jurors across 4 Idaho counties, Latah, Ada, Canyon, and Bannock, arguing that the results supported their claim that a fair trial was not possible in Latah County. However, prosecutors refuted this, stating that the survey data did not demonstrate that Latah County's jury pool was uniquely tainted. Instead, they argued that pervasive and wide-ranging coverage of this case throughout the entire state of Idaho has led to high case recognition among survey respondents across all 4 surveyed counties. Prosecutors further asserted that moving the trial would disrupt the judicial process and inconvenience numerous witnesses and parties involved in the case. They stated the court should decline to relocate itself, the state, and scores of witnesses hundreds of miles away, only to face another jury pool with similarly high media exposure. The legal battle over the trial's location is one of the several pre-trial disputes in the case, which has garnered significant national attention. The trial is scheduled to begin in June 2025, nearly 3 years after the brutal stabbings of the 4 students in their off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho. The defense has continued to argue that media coverage in the small university town has been particularly intense and detrimental to Kohberger's right to a fair trial. However, prosecutors maintain that media coverage alone does not warrant moving the trial to a distant county, especially when the entire state has been exposed to similar levels of reporting in the case. Kohberger, a former Washington State University graduate student, has been in custody since his arrest. He's pled not guilty to the charges against him. It's, I get, like, it would be a pain in the ass to move this thing far away, but do we really want to do this again? Because I think it could be brought up on an appellate issue easily that it was the jury was tainted or that there was too much coverage in that area if we get a guilty verdict.
How do you define too much coverage? I mean, we live in a electronic society now. Everything is online. Everything is video. And I mean, everybody was talking about this. Everybody everywhere.
I mean, I don't want to necessarily mean I take that back. Not too much. It was adequate coverage, especially if you're living there. People are going to talk about this, but they could raise that as an issue of like, look, it's people are just too informed here, and there's too much gossip going on here, and there would be less in a different area, and that's I don't know. I mean, it could be argued. Cases have gone back on appeal on that very issue in the past.
No, it makes sense.
So it's, what do you do? I mean, I guess it's certainly an inconvenience without a doubt, but witnesses come and they go. They don't always necessarily have to stay there the whole time. But I'd imagine if you're the parents of one of these kids and you're going to be in that courtroom every day, and this is going to last fucking months once this actually goes to trial. So what do? Do you relocate 300 miles away for that month? So I kind of get both ends of it. Why should everybody have to, upend their lives because of this, idiot?
These families have been through so much already. This trial is just going to rip them apart even more.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's not a good answer to any of it. I know they just want to get it done and go for it. But again, it's, you also don't want to set it up to have to go through it again twice.
No, true. We don't want a mistrial on this one, do we?
No, nobody wants that on any trial. I mean, look at Karen Reed, where, depending on what they decide there, that could be another part 2 to that. And we'll, rip apart that community even more. I don't know that this is ripping apart the community in terms of people on the side of Kohberger versus not. I think it's the majority that are sitting there going, yeah, he's probably pretty damn guilty. But you certainly do have some dissent there online, where there's a lot of people that are in Camp Kohberger saying he's innocent. I don't know how, sane those people are or how accepting of facts and reality they are, but they're certainly out there.
Do you think there would be the same kind of people like what Karen Reed? I mean, people standing outside the courthouse during the proceedings. Do you think that's going to happen?
No, not with him.
It's just a different feel, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, in any case, you're going to have people who think the opposite of what the evidence points to, but there's a difference here. I think there's a significant difference in what this will look like. I don't think you're going to have anybody protesting outside the courthouse. You're going to have people like in line trying to get into the courthouse for a seat, but I don't think you're going to have a lot of protesters.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yes, we will.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale. And just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite. But here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk. Ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.